Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's painting tutorial, I will be showing you how to paint this loose contemporary beach painting. I have an extensive class on Skillshare with extra brushstroke exercises and techniques. So if you want to watch an extended real-time version of this painting, you can get a premium membership access free for 1 month. The link is in the description. If you've seen me before and haven't subscribed, make sure to do so right now. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Alifya and I make content and tutorials in acrylics and watercolors. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe by the end of this. So let's begin painting. Alright, so the first step is to sketch out this painting, not in detail or anything, just give some slight information that you need to separate these shapes. So always start with the horizon line. So just get a straight line across there. I'm just gonna get the little beach portion that we see and then the land grassy bits in front of it. So you're looking for obvious shapes that sort of defines the ocean and the land. So you're just kind of getting that outline. Like always, I like to begin with the sky first. So I'm getting white and phthalo blue. I'm also going to get out a rough bristled brush that can be used for oil or acrylics. This brush gives you good texture and I like that. Again, everything that I use, all the paint names will be listed in the description, so make sure you check that out. So in the reference, it is a bit light towards the left. So I'm adding in more white for that, and it also gets a bit darker towards the right, so I'm getting more blue in that section. I'm just looking for a slight gradient, and then you just mix the colors in between. Alright, let's dive right into the ocean, no pun intended, but I'm using a bit of phthalo blue and some ultramarine blue with white and just the tiniest little black to deepen the tone. So looking at the reference, I'm simply adding that color to the dark areas I see. Okay, we'll come back to the ocean in a bit, but let's get our base colors for the remaining shapes first. So moving on to the beach, I'm using Mars Orange. You can also replace this color with burnt sienna if you have that. I'm also taking in some raw sienna and white. So I'm getting these three colors and mixing that in to get this pretty beige color. So using the same brush, I'm simply painting those areas of the beach for the base. Alright, so now I switched my brush to a smaller flat brush now to fill in the base for the rocks. Using some burnt sienna black and phthalo blue, I'm laying out the color for that. The idea here is to get the overall impression of the shape first before adding details. For the foreground, I see some darker values between the green, so I'm laying those strokes out first in places I see them. So remember to keep moving your brush in different directions like you see me doing here. So horizontal, some vertical and diagonal strokes are great to add some variety. Even using different sides to your brush is important, so keep moving it around to add more interest. And the key is to hold your brush from the far back of the handle to keep it loose. Okay, so now it's time to get in some of the base tones of the greens. So I am pulling in a mid green and using a little bit of burnt sienna as well. And I'm just kind of filling in the gaps in the foreground. Pulling in some burnt sienna and white, I'm adding that to the rusty bits we see right here in this corner and also the lower half. Okay, and then this completes our base layers. Now it's time to add more layers to build this up and add more dimension and definition. Alright, so now let's get back to the ocean to give it more layers and impression of waves. I see the color in the middle of the ocean is it's like a lighter blue. So I'm adding in some white and just a tiny bit of phthalo blue. I love using the entire brush as one stroke. Again, depends on what size brush you're using, but this it's like a small brush and it really adds well for like smaller paintings. So yeah, so experiment with different sizes and thickness when you're adding your strokes. I'm using extra white for certain areas where I feel like the waves are more prominent and I want them to stand out. Now I'm getting in some ultramarine blue and white to add some more variety to the colors of the ocean. We will come back to the ocean in a bit for some final details after we've added some more rocks, but for now this will do. Okay, so let's build up this sand part a bit more. So I'm taking some raw sienna, Mars orange, and some white, and taking in thick paint to add more texture. So make sure your brush has a lot of paint when you build on those strokes. Simple, small, short strokes, add it once and then just leave it alone. Okay, now I'm going back to my all-time favorite filbert brush because those are really handy when it comes to painting bushes because it has like a rounded U-shaped tip. So I'm taking some light green and Mars orange and laying out some brush marks wherever I see the greens. Remember to hold your brush from the back and keep your brush marks different, so keep them changing and constantly moving in different directions, and use different sides to your brush too. Here I'm getting in some mustard brown for the left side here. So again, just mixing in like Mars orange, raw sienna and white, and a little bit of black. Flicking off my brush upwards to get impressions of grass. I felt like I lost some of those darker shadows in the foreground, so I'm going back with phthalo blue, black and white, and just defining some of those darker areas here. Adding a lot more white to this will give you this grayish, sort of greenish tone, which I'm going to put especially in the foreground and for the grassy bits that I see up in the front. Again, using the flicking off upward method, I'm adding in some grass to the front. So there's this little like cliff right here, so I'm going to give a slight impression of that far back. Also, this color is a nice contrast against the green, so I'm gonna definitely be adding that color a bit more to the foreground. Also, for reference, if you are wondering, this picture is in California, from where I live, and this was taken by me when we went on a little trip. This place is not too far from where I live actually, and we love going to this beach. So yeah, if you're wondering, this is California. Okay, so at this point, I'm just having fun and adding in color and brush strokes to places I think enhances the painting. So this is where your artist freedom comes along. Just go with your intuition to add whatever information you want the viewer to. So adding that same rusty color to the rocks for the midtones and then the highlights. So if you look at the reference picture, you do see the light source coming from the left, and it hits the rocks ever so slightly. So to build up dimension and give your objects form or a three-dimensional look, you need to add layers and build them up with your midtones and highlights. Otherwise they can look flat. So in a loose painting, small details like this is more than enough and very important to give impressions of a three-dimensional look.
Oh my child, I know you're hurt and you can't let go. It's not your fault and you don't deserve all the bad and the hurt. I know you tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight.
So I'm taking in my light green to bring out the grassy green bushes a bit more. So again, simple, small strokes and then leave it be. The more you mess with it, you will lose the texture and the brushwork. So take in nice, juicy, thick paint for this and just lay it down, holding the brush from the back, and keep switching directions of your brush marks to make it more interesting.
I know you've tried so hard. I know you've done your part. It's not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up. Just hold on tight. It'll be alright. not fair. You did your time. How much longer will you suffer in this life? But don't give up, just hold on tight. It'll be alright.
Just a few faraway details, adding a few specks to give impression of distance, and rocks and texture on the sand. So use a fine brush and just use the tip of it to add just few little specks and dots in places. Here I'm just using a palette knife. This is just a regular size palette knife. Again, this is optional. You don't have to use it if you don't have it. You can very well just use a very thin brush, like or a flat brush, and use the tip of it. But this is just something that can add some extra texture if you've got one. So using the side of it, you just simply place it on the paper. So you get some nice little foamy texture for the waves. Okay, last final detail to pop out the highlights just a little bit more with white. So using my filbert brush and white, I'm getting this down. This last highlight makes quite the difference and is almost a focal point in the painting. Our eyes tend to see this first when you look at it, so be intentional where you're putting it down. So don't go overboard, just a few details will be enough. Alright, let's take this baby off and remove the tape so that we can see what we've got working with. And to complete the look, I wanted some of those gorgeous rusty, like rocky colors to pop more, so I'm going directly with Mars Orange. You can also use burnt sienna, especially if you have that color in a different brand. It will look similar to this one that I'm using right now. And this completes our loose acrylic landscape for today. And if you do try this out, don't forget to tag me over at Instagram or on my Facebook group. I love looking at your recreations. It always makes my day. Like mentioned, if you do want a real-time extended version, I do have it over at SKILLSHARE. The link is below. To shop my art and merchandise, do visit my website where I sell all my original landscapes and florals, art prints in a lot of variety, and merch that includes phone cases and mugs and much more arrivals to come soon. To keep up with latest news, do follow me on Instagram where you can stay up to date with my new launches. Thank you once again and happy painting!